Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you to a very exciting night. Tonight, we have a very, very special speaker. I'm going to be talking about a great topic, and that is all the amazing ingredients and the delivery systems of our products. Tonight's speaker is Deedra Mason, a naturopathic physician, principal provider for Advancing Elite Healthcare Center for Natural Healing, a fellow candidate for the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. She's also lifestyle medicine practice since 2000, and she's a director of clinical education and research of the NEI nutraMetrix Educational Institute clinical director. I am so excited to have Deedra today. For all of us that know her, she's Mrs. Dictionary, and I don't love learning more from anybody else because she has a way of not just giving us the science, but making it simple enough for us to understand. Plus, she's pretty funny. Dee, are you there?
I am. Thanks for the intro, Bonnie. I'll see if I can live up to the humorous side of me, the 51% of me that is humorous. The other 49% is a bit of a science geek. So I love that you appreciate both sides of me.
I love both.
Well, I was so excited. Everyone, when Bonnie asked me if I would help with a smaller kind of presentation for her local community, and I said, why don't we go live? Why don't we try to make this big enough where we could really share some great information with business owners as well as their guests, people that we work with and play with that just want to know how to achieve better health. And I said, Bonnie, let's go live. Let's pick a night where we're able to do this. And I'm so pleased that it worked out for everyone to be able to share it with us. You know, one of the things I always love to say to people when it comes to my choice in supplements, when it comes to my choice in lifestyle recommendations, is that Market America really pays attention to the power of ingredients and the power of delivery. When people ask me what makes Market America different, I share with them that we understand that delivery matters, that results matter. And when results matter, you'll focus on the best of quality ingredients, the combination of those ingredients, and you'll pay attention to their natural state of movement. And that's what we do with our specialized delivery. Other things that really set the Market America line apart, of course, is the fact that we hold our standard as high as we do to use clinically tested ingredients. So what you're going to find when you look at a Market America product, looking through our professional channel at the nutraMetrix product line, what you're going to turn over and see are registered or trademarked ingredients. That tells you, as the consumer or the business owner, that we have clinically efficacious, safe, good ingredients that ultimately, when results matter, you've got the best in delivery. I like to talk to people about what I refer to as the 8 pillars of health. Now, these pillars you may put into a different order than I have, but at the end of the day, each one of us can achieve longevity into much, much later decades of life with quality, with energy, with vitality, if we can first pay attention to diet, to our sleep habits, to stress management, and supporting a healthy gut biome or gut environment. If we can take steps towards balancing oxidative stress from the inside of our bodies, as well as combating oxidative stress from outside in the environment. If we can pay attention to fitness and body composition, in particular in later decades of life. If we can think about healthy mental aging and the role that everything above, like oxidative balance, like fitness, the gut biome, stress, sleep, and diet play in making sure that we maintain healthy brain aging and cognitive function. And then, of course, there is the importance of our intimate relationships, being able to feel comfortable in our skin, in our bodies, and with each other. And these are truly the 8 pillars of health. And they come down to some simple steps. And I should share with you that while it may be simple steps towards longevity, enacting those simple steps isn't always easy. It does take a higher commitment to lifestyle, a higher commitment to sleep and diet, a higher commitment to stress and supporting our gut and balancing our internal and our external environment. At the end of the day, that higher commitment we can help you achieve that higher commitment through supplementation. I think it's important that as a physician and as someone that's an educator in the field, that it's important to talk about supplementation always being paired with or complementing diet, lifestyle, and sleep. Because I think we can appreciate that while supplementation may be the easy button for the person that says they don't get 12 servings of vegetables a day, or that supplementation can be the easy button for the individual that says that they do not sleep well. And while supplementation can be the easy button, in particular as we age, to help us achieve better body composition, you cannot outrun a bad diet. You cannot overcome what a lack of sleep does to you. At the end of the day, what I like to share with people is if it's lean and green and colorful, you can eat it. If you couldn't put it in your mouth 100 years ago, don't put it in your mouth today. If your food has a long shelf life, you will have a short shelf life. And if you have to ask yourself for permission, the answer is probably no. So I think it's important for us to appreciate where we fall in that spectrum of health. Where do we need to find our dedication? What can I do? What can Bonnie do? What can people that are interested in educating us about health and nutrition and longevity, what is it that we can do to help you achieve that balance? What is it that we can do to help answer your questions? And that's why I was so pleased that I was invited to join you here tonight. When I think about disease and the number of people that say, what do you take for? And I have fill in the blank. Do I need more or less of fill in the blank? I try to remind people that all disease is the exact same disease. All diseases function based on a lack of oxidative balance. And so when the body is oxidatively stressed, we start to see decline. When we start to see decline, we start to see factors of inflammation. And when we do not have enough nutrients on board, enough antioxidants on board, enough of the foundational aspects or tenets of health on board, then that inflammation becomes chronic inflammation. And I think it's important for us to understand that when it comes to survival, your body's ability to mount an inflammatory response, an immune response, is literally necessary for survival. I just want us to appreciate the fact that the ability to turn it off is just as necessary for survival. And supplementation can help us do that, especially when it is paired with a better diet, with a better sleep history or a better night's sleep, and of course, exercise. When we don't pay attention to those building blocks of longevity, we do end up with hormone disruption. Oxidative stress leads to chronic inflammation, and chronic inflammation leads to hormone disruption. For some of us, it's endocrine decline, like type 2 diabetes. For others, it may be metabolic decline, like cardiovascular disease. And for a lot of us, it's excess weight around the middle, a sense of fatigue, or what I like to refer to as time to tap out, is very short. And all of those things can be remedied when we pay attention to the foundations of optimal health, the foundations of well-being and lifestyle support. So through my eyes, longevity would include, and the supplementation that supports longevity includes essential fatty acids, a comprehensive B vitamin with all of the B vitamins in synergy with one another, antioxidants times 3, because there is no one antioxidant that can do it all for you. Of course, amino acids, in particular, the essential ones, and things that we can do with minerals and botanicals to support healthy cell detoxification. That is truly your solution to longevity. That's why I thought it would be very good tonight if we were to share with you some of the things that set Market America and our products apart, whether it's our clinically tested ingredients found in our antioxidant line like pycnogenol, asteril, BCM95, CoQ-Sol, and FloraGLO. Whether you are looking for more information about general health and digestive well-being, like with Active Aloe, or the importance of a B complex that uses select and specialized ingredients like the B vitamin quatrefolate, the non-synthetic form of folic acid. Whether you need an immune boost in something that we have in our Wellmune GP makes sense for you or for your little ones. And going back to digestive health, the importance of using clinical ingredients in our digestive enzymes, like we do in the isotonic digestive enzyme with digozyme. I mentioned that as we age, one of the pillars of well-being is to pay special attention to our physical well-being, our physical body composition, and the need to pay special or committed make committed effort to stop excess inches around the middle so that we don't end up feeling fatigued, that we do feel comfortable in our skin, that we look better and perform better naked. And many of those things can be achieved by supporting your weight management with clinically tested ingredients like tonillin, something called Sensoril trim, which works on both mental health as well as whittling the middle, something called Lepticor, especially if you are prone to overeating, and then a clinically tested ingredient that we've recently launched in a tea product called Well Trim. And then, of course, as I said, the standout aspects of Market America is delivery. It's not just isotonics that we do well, but we focus on how botanicals, proteins, amino acids, and other ingredients like vitamins and minerals and antioxidants play with each other and how they work in nature. And we copy nature with our delivery systems. And I'm going to share some of that with you tonight. Our flagship product is a product called OPC3, using the clinically tested leader in research called pycnogenol. In fact, Market America is the only global provider of an isotonic pycnogenol. When you think of Market America, I want you to think of a product company, a product brokerage company that does not allow imposters. And that couldn't be better said than by the fact that we use pycnogenol in our product. There are over 400 clinical studies and somewhere between 25 and 40 clinical studies that are added each year using pycnogenol. When I think about what really sets pycnogenol apart, while the isotonic delivery does make it very special, it makes it very special to Market America. What I want you to take away from tonight's call is what makes it special to you. Pycnogenol is a natural plant extract from a plant or the bark of the French maritime pine tree. This is harvested in the south of France, and that is the only location where pycnogenol is found, is in the south of France. Now, while there are imposters where they will use a maritime pine bark to claim the same antioxidant capabilities of OPC3, if you're not using pycnogenol, you are not using the most clinically efficacious and researched pine bark extract available. In fact, what makes pycnogenol so unique and why we are so pleased to be able to have over a 23-year relationship with the vendor of pycnogenol is because pycnogenol is actually used as a pharmaceutical in 11 other countries. That's how powerful this all-natural ingredient is that it's capable of supporting blood pressure. It's capable of supporting healthy blood glucose levels. It's capable of working when it comes to female issues, age-related issues, carrying blood to the brain as well as blood to the reproductive organs, supporting the cardiovascular system and the endocrine system in the management and support of healthy blood glucose levels. These are all of the ways that it is used outside of this country as a pharmaceutical, giving people better options to something that is truly efficacious, that produces results, where we don't have to worry about many of the side effects that drive many people to ask, is there something else I might be able to do? When we think about pycnogenol, I want you to know that part of those clinical studies include clinical studies on OPC3 in the isotonic form. In fact, a study that was done on microvascular parameters of health, things like systolic blood pressure, things like glycation factors, which is hardening of tissues due to blood sugar abnormalities, a look at total cholesterol and overall blood lipids teased out. And what the study conclusion on OPC3 found after 8 weeks is that by evaluating both microvascular health, things that your physician may be looking at, and microcirculatory parameters, those that they were able to test right there in the lab, with individuals using the OPC3, they were able to show that, in fact, OPC3 in an isotonic form was both valid and cost-effective, as well as clinically efficacious in individuals that were showing early signs of heart disease and early signs of endocrine dysfunction, like elevated blood sugar. When OPC3 is paired with healthy lifestyle choices, I dare you to imagine everything that could be achieved. Maybe the smallest thing that will be achieved is you having the ability to ask yourself if you can put off the need for a pharmaceutical intervention, an aggressive intervention, simply because on a regular basis you take such a potent and beneficial bioflavonoid like the OPC3. You know, the OPC3 does get questions about, is the isotonic delivery the best delivery, and do we have proof to show that it is in fact a superior delivery? The fact that the isotonic line does not require any fillers or binders, the fact that the isotonic line was formulated to copy blood, sweat, and tears in our bodies, the fact that it was formulated to trigger sensory cells from the base of the stomach, to allow it to leave the stomach in a timely manner, move into the small intestine, where almost 90% of absorption happens with our micronutrients. The question has to be asked, is it truly superior? Well, one of the ways that we were able to show is by taking the exact same specialized raw ingredients that are found in the OPC3, and we put them into a compressed tablet form. We're taking the exact same raw ingredients in the exact same proportions, but compressing them versus the isotonics. What you found is over 240 minutes that they were able to show that the isotonic delivery system didn't just get it into the bloodstream faster, it got it into the bloodstream at a higher rate. They measured this by what is called a T-bar score. So they were able to measure, based on oxidative stress and oxidative neutralizing capacity, the OPC3 in an isotonic form when compared to the exact same raw ingredients in a tablet form, that the tablet time to break down, and that make a tablet would never let go of the flavonoids to be able to allow them to be absorbed and do their job, making isotonic truly more superior. When we think about some of the benefits of the OPC3 in particular, it goes in, or is based on this idea of synergy, that in fact the OPC3 ingredients, not just pycnogenol, but grapeseed extract and red wine extract, along with pycnogenol, make up 3 of the strongest oligomeric proanthocyanidins known to nature, and that we take based on the way this product is water soluble, based on the fact that we extraction, not alcohol extraction, that we are able to preserve the intact nature of these flavonoids, so that the complexity and diversity of this product maintains its natural stability and its natural conference of anti-inflammatory benefits, free radical scavenging benefits. But it's not just OPC3 that we do well. It's not just the isotonic line that we do very well. I mentioned that I would, for longevity purposes, recommend that you take 3 types of antioxidants. One that works on the outside of the body or can quench free radical damage from your environment. That's OPC3 or maybe resveratrol. We want also an antioxidant that can work beyond the blood vascular system and getting blood to the brain, but works on that nervous tissue in particular, that can work inside and outside a cell. And that's what you find with curcumin. In fact, curcumin benefits are really quite remarkable. What's interesting though is that curcumin or curcuminoids, you might know it as turmeric, are not easily bioavailable. It's very hard to digest them, even harder to absorb them. So with all of the clinical benefits of curcumin, you still have to ask, but if they are so poorly bioavailable, what is it that makes yours so much better? Why would I buy the curcumin extreme from Market America compared to something that may be less expensive over the counter? If they're both hard to absorb, Well, that comes down to bioavailability and the question of what we did to make sure that this product was bioavailable. That's the BCM 95 difference. What we did is we maintained the intact nature of the curcuminoid root. Again, much like what they did with the pycnogenol and the other OPCs that are found in OPC3, a specialized extraction that maintains the intact nature of the flavonoids so that it's able, and the phenols, so that they are able to support molecular benefits or support metabolic health. Well, they were able to do this with the BCM 95. It's 100% pure extract containing curcumin, dimethoxycurcumin, and bis-dimethoxycurcumin, and they were able to take and maintain the quality of 9 essential oils that are found naturally in the turmeric rhizomes. These are called turmerones, and they are attributed for, or we attribute many of the hormonal balancing and neurologic balancing aspects of turmeric or the curcuminoids to the turmerones that are found, and we managed to keep all of those things in this root. When you consider what's available on the market versus what's available through Market America, what I want you to pay attention to is that there are many turmerics on the shelf, but they do not include the dimethoxycurcumin. They do not include the bis-dimethoxycurcumin, and they do not contain the 9 essential oils that are found naturally in the turmeric root or these hormone balancing turmerones. The clinical studies show everything that this particular ingredient can do. This is a study that was done with BCM 95 on joint health, specifically looking at the BCM 95 curcuma longa and a botanical cause called Boswellia. Well, this extract was shown to be as efficacious as non-steroidal anti-inflammatories when taken twice a day. Think of, or imagine, if you will, the benefits that you would have if you had an alternative to non-steroidal anti-inflammatories that may cause kidney concern or gut health concern. When they were looking at BCM 95 and phytotherapy research, they didn't just look at BCM 95 next to Boswellia, where we may have to question which one of them was doing the heavy lifting, but straight up curcumin, BCM 95, and NSAIDs. And what they found is that individuals that could not reach an endpoint or a goal of discomfort or joint health management with NSAIDs alone, when they were able to add on BCM 95, they were able to hit those end results or those end goals. Other benefits of BCM 95, specifically in the literature, talk about its benefits in cognitive health, mood and stress support. When individuals took quality of life scores, when they took mental health scores, when they were asked questions about anxiety and depression, those using BCM 95 scored consistently lower than those that were using placebo or other turmeric roots that were not BCM 95. And then there, of course, are those hormonal benefits that I had mentioned. Those turmerones mixed with BCM 95 clinically have shown to be beneficial in the aging prostate as well as in the aging breast tissue, where we may see that obesity, lifestyle, and risk factors for abnormal cell activity may be on the rise. BCM 95 for both men and women was able to show that it was a clinically efficacious support adjunct for those that were either in a high risk group or had a family history. It all comes down to that BCM 95 difference. The fact that with all of the efforts put into the active ingredients, that clinically we're able to show that this one is 7 to 8 times more bioavailable than the leading actor in this market that uses a black pepper to encourage its bioavailability. I think it's important that we understand that there are many aspects of well-being that went into the formulation of the Market America product line, and it is truly evident when you look at the clinical studies behind pycnogenol and the clinical studies behind BCM 95. That still may get you asking, however, why would I still choose this one? What if someone else says that they have a clinically efficacious curcumin or turmeric? I want you to also know that one of the things that Market America specializes in is the idea of synergistic ingredients, always building up or supporting that leading actor ingredient with a better supporting cast. And that's why we put selenium in this product as well. Selenium is a major cofactor to the production of something called glutathione. And that important glutathione peroxidase that is delivered from curcumin with the help of selenium allows curcumin to not just be beneficial for everything that I just said, but also a cellular detoxifier. In addition to being able to liberate glutathione, the most specialized antioxidant, can also allow the body to quench a free radical scavenger called a singlet oxygen free radical, as well as help the body, especially as we age, convert the inactive thyroid hormone T4 to the active thyroid hormone T3. I think these are an important synergy that really sets the Market America product line head and shoulders above many other products that are available over the counter. And that's what makes the Market America difference. Knowing the oral curcumins are poorly absorbed, we made sure to get one of the very best ingredients that's clinically studied to be efficacious. Again, we put curcumin extreme in a unique combination with other ingredients, not just the 3 curcuminoids, but also mix this with selenium and broccoli seed extract. It's its high absorbability that makes it also gentle on the stomach, but also efficacious when it comes to managing many of the concerns that we have related to aging, be it joint discomfort, be it pelvic stagnation, be it concerns that we have with endocrine health or brain function as we age. Those are some of the things that set this product apart. Now I have to ask the question, as we age, factors of energy come up, factors of cardiovascular health, stamina, and endurance come up. And that makes me ask the questions to both patients and unfranchised owners alike. How is it that you are able to maintain energy? And so often what we find is that people have found a good coenzyme Q10 and they have found a good astaxanthin. Much like curcumin, bioavailability of ubiquinone or coenzyme Q10 turning into ubiquinol is very difficult. Keeping it both soluble, bioavailable, and enhancing absorption, because we're giving it, of course, to people that may have tore up stomachs, that may have issues with inflammation, because these are 3 targets that we know to be an issue in the absorption or utilization of coenzyme Q10. We set out with Market America to find a better way to deliver. And in this case, I believe we've even exceeded our expectations, because we now have, and have for decades now, a CoQ-Sol CF. This is a crystal-free formula. Knowing that coenzyme Q10 is poorly absorbed, it just cannot get through the gastrointestinal tract and into the blood. We had to find something that was clinically shown to be able to do that, because it's very hard to keep coenzyme Q10 shelf stable, has very high variability of how much is actually in your product unless you can stabilize it in a natural way. And we were able to do this, again, by copying nature with an ingredient called D-limonene. And as I mentioned, its absorption, quite frankly, is limited, dependent on how healthy the individual's gut is, or how healthy our intestines are for absorption. And for that reason, it's important that we also have a driver behind this product for better absorption. And we did all of those things with an ingredient called CoQ-Sol CF. CoQ-Sol CF uses a large amount of coenzyme Q10 per soft gel. We mix it with D-limonene to keep it shelf stable and also drive it for better absorption, and we make sure to keep it from oxidizing on itself and crystallizing, maintaining 100% solubility by adding natural vitamin E tocopherols to this product. You're going to see throughout tonight, over and over and over again, me mention the natural ingredients, me mentioning non-synthetic ingredients, me mentioning natural delivery systems. And that is shown here, not just with this unique formulation in the coenzyme Q10, but the fact that these are not, that this is not a synthetic coenzyme Q10, that we use rice bran isolate, not a trans oil, which many other products will use to keep the product in a liquid, non-crystallized form. And you'll find that many heart health products on the market today will not use mixed tocopherols, natural tocopherols, or what are called gamma tocopherols, but they will use synthetic tocopherols, things that are prone to upper limits or where we are concerned about toxicity. And you're not finding that in the heart health coenzyme Q10 that we offer. We are only showing you a product that is clinically shown to have a higher bioavailability because of the synergy of these three ingredients. Not only did clinical studies show that CoQ-Sol CF has a greater absorption or uptake into the bloodstream, but that it can maintain that higher level, much like what we showed with the pycnogenol study, for a longer period of time, and that we don't have to worry about the product reducing on itself or oxidizing on itself, that it is able to maintain a natural reduction oxidative balance because of the tocopherols or the vitamin E that are put in the product. And I mentioned endurance, and that's important. Not only does coenzyme Q10 help with endurance, we want to think also about cardiovascular endurance. We want to think about other aspects of endurance, both cardiovascular, muscular endurance, and even thinking about our lifestyles today. Ask yourself, how many hours a day do you spend in front of a computer, in front of a TV set, in front of a smartphone or a tablet, all the while being exposed to blue light, all the while being exposed to an activity that strains the eyes and leads to concerns that we have with premature aging of the eyes or visual endurance issues. Well, this is what we've managed to do with the Asteril astaxanthin, is not just offer you, again, a non-synthetic astaxanthin, but one that comes from Japan, where the studies and the research support the use of astaxanthin. While I do believe that because of the astaxanthin boom, that more and more areas globally are able to support healthy blooms of astaxanthin through a fermentation process. So I don't want to say that Japan is the only place that can do it. But when you think about research, when you think about those that carry the heavy weight in the literature and the efficacy and the results from their studies, the astaxanthin research was done in Japan. And we used the clinically efficacious Asteril astaxanthin from Japan, rather than getting a cheaper version that doesn't have the same solubility, the same antioxidant quenching capability, or the same clinical research behind it. We go to Japan with those vendors to get the Asteril astaxanthin. Unlike many other fat-soluble antioxidants, astaxanthin is considered a pure antioxidant. Under no amount of oxidative stress, unlike beta-carotene, lycopene, and zeaxanthins, unlike those, a lot of oxidative I find in endurance. We think about cardiovascular health or the wear and tear that I mentioned with your eye strain. Under no amount of oxidative load or stress does astaxanthin ever turn into a pro-oxidant, meaning that if you've ever heard someone say that they're worried about antioxidants building up or that fat-soluble ingredients become toxic, you should know that there's no evidence that astaxanthin can do that. And it's supported by 9 different patents on how this product can be used for muscle and physical endurance, to support gastric health, in particular when it comes to dyspepsia, factors of female well-being, be it clinical studies on mastitis or fertility, and the support of the immune system. I think it's important that we understand that when the body starts to get worn down, when it doesn't have what it needs to keep itself moving, then one of the things that suffers as a result of that is the immune system. But some of the strongest literature on the astaxanthin from Sensoril, or the clinically efficacious Sensoril astaxanthin, are some of its benefits. Some of its benefits when it comes to eye fatigue and eye strain, like you get from your tablets. Cardiovascular benefits, in particular endurance benefits when we think about cardiovascular well-being and endocrine function and supporting healthy endocrine function. I mentioned that some of the heavy lifting is in ocular health. 10 clinical studies using Sensoril astaxanthin show increased retinal blood flow, increased accommodation, in particular after eye strain from devices, increased visual acuity, especially when we are exposed to blue light, and then concerns that we have with overstrain or overuse with ocular inflammation. 10 clinical studies that show reduction in all of these factors. So whether you are an athlete, whether you're someone that does spend a lot of time in front of blue light devices, or you're someone that's just looking for better endurance and longevity in later decades of life, astaxanthin from Sensoril is your astaxanthin of choice. Now, I mentioned blue light, and I think it's important that you know that we paid close attention to the literature when it came to blue light. Knowing that we need to find a specific way, not just to protect the eyes from strain, and that's why we use the astaxanthin, specifically the Sensoril astaxanthin, but also focusing specifically on the macula so that we can decrease acceleration of age-related decline, visual decline, in something called macular degeneration. FloraGLO Lutein is a clinically studied ingredient for eye health that focuses or concentrates itself in the macula. This is something that's been clinically shown to prevent progression of age-related macular degeneration. So when we think about all of the excess exposure that we have to blue light, when we think about the excess exposure that we have to devices, computers, and the world that we live in today, I want you to think both about your children and I want you to think about yourself. The sheer number of hours that we spend in front of a screen. I don't know if you guys know it, but you're doing it right now, right? We need to think about how we're going to protect our eyes for aging in the future. And considering that these are the new learning tools that our children are using, I think we need to think about ways to protect their eyes as well. And the answer is FloraGLO Lutein. To maintain visual health and visual macular density with aging, promoting sharper vision, clinically studied to protect the eye from excess blue light, clinically shown to reduce excess eye fatigue and eye damage that's related to overexposure of blue lights from our devices, and then helps the eyes recover from intense light. For some people, that will be concerns that they have with night vision, which is a different problem, but these are some of the early warning signs, poor night driving or irritation while seeing oncoming headlights. Those are some of the early signs of eye decline, and it's important for us to think about what FloraGLO Lutein can do for us. Considering that lutein and zeaxanthin are the only dietary nutrients that are deposited in the macula, in the back of the eye, it's important to know that is the density of these rods and cones. It is the density of macular pigment that protects us, and it is only lutein and zeaxanthin that do this. So as good as Sensoril astaxanthin is for the eye fatigue, it is not as powerful when it comes to combating the blue light, and that's why you would look at FloraGLO Lutein as well. When we think about why we chose the lutein that we did, it was because it was the ingredient that was used in the ARIDS 2 trial. It was the most recognized study for ocular health and age-related macular degeneration used FloraGLO Lutein in its study, and we used the same ingredient, the same amount in our Prime Vision Support formula, as well as in our Isotonic Vision formula. We use FloraGLO Lutein in that product. It's important that you understand as well that this is like the pycnogenol, like humanoids, like the Sensoril astaxanthin and the coenzyme Q10. These are all natural sources. This, in fact, is utilized from the FloraGLO is utilized from marigold flower. This lutein and zeaxanthin combination that is used in FloraGLO has over 80 human clinical trials. That makes FloraGLO still the #1 recommended ingredient in ocular health and ocular well-being. Now let's think about general health and that functional barrier and how important that functional barrier is. You understand the importance of antioxidants, and hopefully now antioxidants times 3, that we need different antioxidants to work in different areas of the body. But one of the better things you can do for your health is support your functional barrier, your absorption in your gut. Is one of my favorite sayings of both my friend Harvey Kitzman and myself, is that the road to health is paved with good intestines. And there's no better way to protect the barrier in your gut than with probiotics and aloe. Both of them are based on an immune mechanism to support a healthy barrier, a healthy matrix of immune cells in the gut, so that we don't see a waxing and waning of our energy, our mood, our weight, inflammation in our joints, that we see better gut to brain connections, and therefore we see less inflammation in the gut, meaning that we see less inflammation in the brain and better cognitive control, better academic performance and mental focus. This is something that we want for ourselves as well as for our children. So when we think of how we support a healthy gut permeability, when we think of how we support a healthy gut barrier, I want you to think of your individual risk. How stressed are you? Are you currently taking medications? Are there concerns with substance abuse, in particular alcohol? What do your dietary choices look like? Do you have a lot of functional fat, a lot of functional fiber? Do you use functional foods like probiotics? How are your sleep habits? Because you should know that there's an intimate link between the health of your gut, the weight that you carry, and how well you sleep at night. And we do know that women are 5 times more likely to suffer with abdominal complaints and immune disruption compared to men. And so I want you to think about where your relative risk might be, and I want you to think about what your microbiome can do for you. The microbiota is a blend of literally millions of gut bugs. They are found not just in your gut biota. They're not just found in your intestines. They're found all over your skin, in your mouth, everywhere. And they are protecting us. They carry what is called microDNA, and they are setting the tone for your weight, what we call energy harvesting. How healthy your gut is, how diverse your microbiota are, sets the tone for how healthy your metabolic energy is, your metabolic harvesting. How well can you save and how well can you spend? It's that balance that microbiota and probiotics help us achieve. It depends on the number of strains that you consume. It depends on the diversity of the strains that you consume. And all of this depends on you. How healthy do you eat? Do you take medications? What is your gender? Do you get a good night's sleep? How stressed are you? When you can answer those questions, you'll know how committed you need to be to probiotic supplementation. An easy start for some people is to look at the Ultimate Aloe. The Ultimate Aloe is certified by the International Aloe Science Council. It has their seal of approval or certification. And I want you to know that this is a purity seal. This is not a seal of like a vendor seal. What this is an outside the vendor seal approval of the Ultimate Aloe product that says that this product is handled appropriately to maintain the nutrient density of the aloe plant and what are called polysaccharides that make that webbing or that barrier that I was telling you about can help your gut so much. And also a purity study to make sure that that the extraction of the aloe happened in such a way that chemicals were not used. This is an important factor of maintaining the well-being of this plant. The health benefits of this plant have everything to do with how it is harvested. And the fact that we carry the Aloe Science seal of certification tells you something about the quality of this ingredient. That we are able to carry the active aloe label means that we are ensuring that we have activated polysaccharides, stable polysaccharides in this product, that using the active aloe process to be able to hold on to what is called the MAPS weight or the polysaccharide weight of this product, enhance its ability to connect in the gut, improve permeability health in the gut, and achieve a better immune balance. through the gut. This is a patented process that only active aloe is able to use. It enhances aloe vera's biologic activity. It enhances the absorption, literally, of the vitamins and minerals that you take through supplementation, as well as through diet. Now, speaking of essential benefits, there are important things that we should pay attention to when it comes to our B vitamins. First and foremost, I want you to know that B vitamins should not be taken in isolation. You shouldn't just take a B12 or just take a folic acid or just take a B6. While you may find with the help of a physician that you need more of one of these things, at the end of the day, your foundation needs to be a B complex where they are properly ratioed to one another, that they are properly combined to do the job that they were meant to do. Often we find that when people need to compare their B vitamin types, they'll find that they contain all of these 9 very active B vitamins and these important B vitamins, but they may not be in the most efficacious form. Now, I do want to be very clear about this. Most of the literature has been done on synthetic vitamins. Most of the literature that says that B6 and B5 and folic acid and B2 riboflavin is good for you and does something about blood pressure or does something about detoxification and mental health. Those were done on synthetic vitamins. That was done on synthetic folic acid. That was done on cyanocobalamin. That was done on a synthetic B6 called pyridoxine. Still, when we can offer and take the efficacy of those clinical studies and offer you a non-synthetic, a vegetarian product where we're able to ferment B vitamins from bacteria, what we're able to do is enhance not just their bioavailability, but also their purity, their standard. It gives us the ability to offer a vegetarian product because we use a non-synthetic but a fermented P5P, an active form of B6, that we use a non-synthetic quatropholik, the trademarked quatropholik, in fact, and that we use a non-synthetic, a vegetarian methylcobalamin in our activated B complex, in our anti-aging product, in our women's health product, that when you look across the board at many of the Isotonix, what you will see is that we moved to these non-synthetic forms to not just enhance the brand, but also to enhance the results and the belief that individuals have in the quality and the purity of our products. Quattrofolate is considered the gold standard of folic acid supplementation because folic acid synthetic is not biologically active and the body using its own enzymes needs to convert it into a metabolically active form. Knowing that about 10 to 17% of the population doesn't carry an enzyme that works sufficiently well, we put the non-synthetic form, the active form of quattrofolate in our activated B complex, in our anti-aging product, in our women's health product, and in our prenatal. Knowing that this enzyme, beyond the 17% at the high end, that will not make the conversion at all, we know that upwards of 40% of people have a sluggish enzyme. And for that reason, it is better for us to put in this better form so that people will get the results that they expect from their B vitamin. Now, my friend, she teases me about this slide because she says, Dee, you're not funny. No one understands carpe ferum. They're not a geek, right? What that means is instead of saying seize the day, I said seize the iron. For weightlifters, Olympic weightlifters, you think that's funny. I couldn't be happier about why I'm able to put this slide up. Even though I do get teased about my geeky side, the reason why I'm able to do this is because we use a sun-active form of iron. Again, a non-synthetic form of iron, a non-constipating form of iron, a non-headache form of iron. And that's an important distinction when it comes to a prenatal. It's an important distinction when it comes to the plant-based protein for prenatal and postnatal health. It's an important distinction when it comes to the anti-aging product because as we age, whether we're pregnant and when we're pregnant. These are two of the times where we are absolutely not going to tolerate constipation or headaches because of our multivitamin, right? And so that's what we did with this product, is we put the sun active, non-constipating, non-headache forming iron in our anti-aging product, in our pre and postnatal plant-based shake. Made sure to put it in our prenatal product. Other things that set us apart are things like the MK7 vitamin K2. We don't use a synthetic form of K2, but the most metabolically active form of K2 called MK7. You can see there at the bottom of the screen that it also has the longest tail, which means it has the best or strongest antioxidant capabilities when compared to synthetic forms like the MK4, which is a synthetic form of K2. And it also distinguishes it from the K1. You should know that K1 and K2 are not the same thing. The K2 is used extrahepatically or outside of the liver, and it lends to better bone mineral density, better cardiovascular tone, and elasticity of our vascular tissue. So while you can get K2 in a synthetic form, it's called MK4. MK4 has a very short shelf life, or rather, I apologize, a half-life. It can remain at therapeutic levels, and it's one of the reasons why this ingredient has been so clinically studied. It's because it's synthetic, it's easy to handle. But more and more studies came out to show that MK7 improved bone mineral density better, and that we didn't need to use as much as MK7 to get bone mineral density benefits. And that and the reason why is because it has a 7 to 8 times more bioavailable than other K forms, specifically MK4. It also supports in a way that other synthetic K vitamins will not do, is a more natural production of a hormone in bone health called osteocalcin. At the end of the day, the clinically studied Meclinin 7 is produced in a healthy way. It is through fermentation, which means we get to again offer a non-GMO, we get to offer a non-soy form, we get to offer a natural form of an ingredient by offering the Meclinin 7 in our product. It means it's non-synthetic. It means that we paid special attention to bioavailability and delivery, and that we're using the clinically efficacious forms of vitamin K2 in our products. When it comes to other benefits of the Isotonix line, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that we put Wellmune. Wellmune is a derived from yeast beta-glucans. And so the polysaccharides that are found in the aloe plant are also found in things like mushrooms. Well, they're also found in yeast. So all of the benefits that you've ever heard about aloe and immune potential, reishi mushrooms, and their aging and longevity and immune potential is also true for yeast beta-glucans. Clinical studies show that this product is efficacious in decreasing the severity of cold and flu symptoms, decreasing the length of cold and flu symptoms. So when taken at the first sign of cold and flu, individuals are able to not just have a less severe bout of their cold, but also they are able to decrease the length of their cold by 4 days. I had mentioned the importance of the digestive health and immunity, and that's why I wanted to bring up the Digizyme. This is an ingredient, again, a gluten-free, non-GMO, plant-based digestive enzyme. A lot of companies, a lot of over-the-counter products will use what we fondly refer to as beastie bits in their products. So they will use pancreatic enzymes. They will use endocrine enzymes that are derived from animals. And we find that many people are turned off by the idea of using those types of enzymes, and that having what's referred to as an acid-stable plant-derived enzyme is far more palatable to many individuals. Well, it turns out it's also more efficacious. Digizyme clinically is able to show that it has its digestive enzyme capability in a very wide pH. When you look at pancreatic enzymes or enzymes that are derived from animal sources, they have a very narrow window of pH where they are effective. And that's why you through the pH to be able to do the job that they were set out to do. Well, we don't have that trouble with Digizyme. Not only is it non-GMO, not only is it gluten-free, not only is it plant-based, it's also acid stable. And that means that it can work in a very wide pH. So whether you're alkaline or you are acidic, these plant-based acid stable enzymes can work for you. And clinically, Digizyme has been shown, much like the aloe, the active aloe, to improve bioavailability of nutrients, whether they're found from supplementation or they are found through diet alone. And they're able to show that specifically, even when other digestive enzymes use black pepper to improve bioavailability, that still Digizyme clinically has been shown to improve bioavailability well over even other formulas that were formulated specifically for bioavailability. Now, I want to talk to you about that healthy aging and whittling the middle. We have an ingredient called tonillin, one of the most clinically studied conjugated linoleic acids on the market. You know, when you see the brand tonillin, that you're seeing quality and you're seeing researched, efficacious ingredients. In fact, what really makes this product very different than other CLAs on the market is the fact that the tonillin brand uses a 50-50 isomer, what's called a 911 strain and a 1012 strain. The 911 strain, 50% of the tonillin conjugated linoleic acid, is helpful for glycemic control and keeping blood sugars within healthy ranges and improving insulin sensitivity. The the 1012 strain helps with weight loss. So the fact that we use a 50-50 blend means that we have a more efficacious, as evidenced by the literature, for body fat loss and improving body composition, in particular in troubled areas like saddlebags and bat wings, and of course, those lunch lady arms that many of us complain about as we start to age. And then, of course, stubborn belly fat. It is the balance of the 911 and the 1012 isomers that make this as efficacious of a product as it is. We also have a product called Leptocor, and the ingredient in our, we have a product called Core, a fat and carbohydrate absorption an inhibitor product. And it uses a clinically tested ingredient called Leptocor. Leptocor is unique because in an 8-week study, it was shown by itself to lower total cholesterol and lower LDL, the bad cholesterol, by as much as 18% in total cholesterol, by nearly 15% in the LDL cholesterol. But more importantly, it did something that very few things in nature are able to do naturally, and that is raise HDL. Niacin can do it. Omegas have some potential to do it, but exercise is mostly what raises HDL. And the Leptocor study showed in 8 weeks the ability to raise an individual's HDL, their good cholesterol, by nearly 14%, while also lowering their primary risk factor for diabetes and non-alcoholic fatty liver, which is lowering of plasma triglycerides and improving what are called free fatty acids. Blood sugars went down, serum serotonin went up, and I want to tell you why that is so important. Serotonin is your comfort neurotransmitter. So when serotonin is low, you are more likely to overeat, likely to feel sated or full, and you are more likely to wake up in the middle of the night with an appetite. I think it's important that we know that a lot of people overeat or comfort food eat or bored eat. And one of the ways that we can improve all of those factors of health is by raising their serum serotonin. Leptocor in an 8-week study raised it by nearly 29%, while lowering leptin levels, improving the body's ability for the brain to recognize when it is full and push a plate away instead of overeating. I think it's important, just like hydration. By the time you feel thirsty, you're already behind the 8 ball. And the same is true for when we feel full. If you have to wait until you give your belly a pat and go, whoa, right? You've already overeaten way beyond your capacity. And so being more leptin sensitive is one of the ways that you don't have to get to that point before you push the plate away. And I don't want to miss the fact that C-reactive protein levels went down. When inflammation goes down, leptin sensitivity goes up. Now, sometimes it's not about troubled fat areas or troubled zones in the body, like with conjugated linoleic acid. Sometimes it's not about looking at a buffet and thinking that you could eat it all, like we think of with the LeptiCore ingredient found in the core product. Sometimes stress is your insulating factor. Sometimes it is the thing that stops you from feeling good about yourself or healthy about your body. And that's where Sensoril Ashwagandha comes in. It supports thyroid function, it supports adrenal stress function, but it also supports the mind in a way from a mental health standpoint, where we can get our head in the game and we can feel good about what we're doing. So everything from emotional drive to managing and supporting healthy stress levels. A product that we have called TLS-X, adrenal, cortisol, thyroid, and stress, uses the clinically tested Sensoril Ashwagandha. And we use it specifically with the standardized 10% Withanolides. This is important because they have found that it is the Withanolides within ashwagandha that have the capacity to improve dopamine, so that we have satisfaction and a sense of reward in our brains and are less likely to overeat, seeking out a reward. That the 10% Withanolides have also been shown to help manage the way the body doesn't just incorporate cortisol from its stress response in the making of stress hormones, but also protects lower hormones like testosterone and progesterone that might get eaten up in the process of trying to make more stress hormone, thereby protecting your sexual health, whittling your middle, and supporting your mental health as well. Now, most recently, Market America came out with a product that we could literally not keep on the shelves. It had a great deal to do with the clinical study that was done on a plant extract, or rather a natural plant ingredient called African mango seed, because African mango seed that is put in our Trim Tea product inhibits the size, number, and maturation of fat cells. So when there are baby fat cells, these what are referred to as pre-adipocytes, it stops their maturation into full-blown adult fat cells. They never grow up. When they don't grow up, they're less likely to express inflammatory signals. They're less likely to engorge and become 2, or 2 become 4, and 4 become 8, and so on and so forth. It's important when we think about the controlling the maturation of fat cells, that it's not just about excess weight around the middle or in troubled areas of the body, right? It's also about the way these fat cells communicate. And these fat cells, when we limit them from being able to communicate, they help muscle tissue be more insulin sensitive. That's a good thing. They help with better pancreatic insulin secretion, and that's a good thing. They decrease when adipocytes or fat cells cannot mature and they cannot send out a bunch of chemical signals. They are less likely to tell the brain to overeat or comfort food eat. They are less likely to tell the body to reabsorb glucose at a faster rate and then store it as a free fatty acid. For this reason and so many other reasons, the African mango seed is helping people in a 3-phase system, or a 3-phase phasic type of approach, lose weight. The first approach is to decrease inflammation. And so some of the first benefits that people notice when they use the Well-Trim ingredient in our Trim Tea is that they feel like they have better range of motion. They feel like their inflammation is improved. They feel more energized. That is the first phase. They do lose some weight. It's just not the same amount of weight that they lose in later weeks. And the reason why is because it was first dealing with the inflammation. Once inflammation is dealt with, then the body can become more leptin sensitive. The brain can literally get the signal from leptin to push the plate away, can get the signal from the body that it's not starving, that it is being not just fed, but fed well. When there's less inflammation, there's less need in the body to try to eat, to try to offset that inflammation or repair from that inflammation. And that's the second phase of the well-trim ingredient, is to improve leptin sensitivity. And then the third phase of the well-trim ingredient is that once those other two are in place, there's room now for a hormone called adiponectin to raise in the body. And when adiponectin savings accounts start to get full, start to get overflowing, we notice cardiovascular benefits. We start to notice weight loss is not as sluggish. So now we've built on this anti-inflammatory. I'm full, and I get the signal that I'm full. And then, of course, adiponectin comes up as this very protective hormone that is secreted from white adipose tissue, telling the body to protect itself from cardiovascular disease, to protect the body and allow the enzymes that allow us to lose weight to become less sluggish. And that's the three phases of this ingredient, and clinically shown to be efficacious in a study over 10 weeks where 102 individuals on average, meaning some people lost less, but some people lost more, 28 pounds over 10 weeks. Some of us have less adiponectin in our savings accounts, and so while some people may notice weight loss in the first 4 to 5 weeks, some of us may not notice what we would consider considerable weight loss until somewhere closer to the 7th or 8th week, 9 weeks even. And then we start to see, as those adiponectin reserves get up, that we find it easier to lose weight. Now, of course, since leptin sensitivity is part of what makes this ingredient work as well as it does, it makes sense to pair it with the core product, which is also shown to improve leptin sensitivity, to decrease that inflammation. Combining these two things together are kind of a bookend approach to weight loss, because Lepticore in the core product works in the gut. It works in the intestine, slowing down glucose from there because it's a gum. This one works via the bloodstream. This one works versus cell signaling to those preemie fat cells and telling other fat cells to be quiet. And I think it's important that we appreciate that the bookend approach here is what's going to achieve probably the strongest, fastest results in individuals. Well-trim, I don't want anyone to miss the other health benefits. Even if you don't have weight to lose, I do want you to pay attention to the fact that well-trim over the clinical study also showed significant cardiovascular benefit. Trial, it resulted in 26% reduction in total cholesterol and a 27% reduction in LDL cholesterol. I think that something that sometimes gets missed when we look at all of these incredible ingredients in these products is how nature combines things together. And I think it's important that we pay attention to the combination of approaches to well-being. That you need good sleep to lose weight, not just well-trim and core, but good sleep, well-trim, trim tea, and core. That trifecta, or those three working together, can be hugely beneficial to help you reach your goals, whether they're weight loss goals or they're cardiovascular goals. And the last thing I wanted to share with you briefly is the fact that, as I said earlier, we really pay attention to to delivery. We pay attention to what works in nature, and we copy nature in the delivery of our products. So whether it's the isotonic product compared to the standard tablet that I shared with you in the pycnogenol study, these are your takeaways for the isotonic delivery. It copies nature. You have sensory cells in the base of your stomach. These sensory cells are waiting for the slurry that is in your stomach to be rendered into this isotonic range. Once it's rendered into that isotonic range, the stomach allows it to move into the small intestine. If you take Isotonix, a product with no fillers, no binders in it, you take it on an empty stomach, you can move that from the stomach into the small intestine very rapidly and very efficiently. When you do that, the product is intact and it is concentrated, meaning that those polyphenols that you find in OPC3 or resveratrol maintained their natural component. And when they maintain their natural shape, because they were not broken down by stomach acid, they are able to confer all of those health benefits to you. In addition to that, vitamins and minerals need to be in a good concentration to be absorbed. And because the isotonic delivery doesn't just give you a product with no fillers and binders, but it also controls how those vitamins and minerals get to the stomach. While it is very efficient, while it is a very quick delivery, it is also very efficient. And the sugars that are in the product, the carbohydrates that are in the product, allow for this facilitated diffusion. So things that are difficult to absorb because you have a tore up gut or lots of inflammation are easier to absorb in an isotonic form. And then when isotonic is not possible, when it is either impossible to make it isotonic because it's just simply not water soluble, like astaxanthin, or if that would not be the best delivery system for it, because a liposomal delivery or a phytosomal delivery would be a better idea, that's when we focus on those types of systems. So whether it's the Timeless Prescription Oxygen Extreme or Curcumin Extreme and the TLS Core, we use liposomal fatty bases or phytosomal. These are plant bases that wrap themselves around the active ingredients and improve bioavailability. So while some people use black pepper, we use phytosome technology. While some people refer to what they refer to nanosomal technology, we use liposomal technology. The body recognizes these plant bodies and these fatty bodies for absorption. And that's why the BCM95 has such a high bioavailability on clinical studies. And then there are times where not only would isotonics not make sense, but where they get delivered is what we're trying to focus on. And that's what we do with our probiotics, with the LiveBac technology and the BioTrack technology. We ensure a prolonged shelf life of the product. We ensure and maintain the viability of the probiotics with LiveBac technology. And we make sure that they get to the colon or the large intestine, where they do most of their work by using BioTrack technology, which is a sustained release technology. You wouldn't want your probiotics of these strains, these skinny bugs and these helpful bugs, to be delivered in an isotonic form, because they would move them just to the small intestine or the small bowel and would not get them to the large bowel, where really we need to be recolonizing and really helping gut health or intestinal well-being from there. My focus with you is it's not always about being the smartest. Sometimes it's just about being consistent. It may just be about making sure that you take OPC3 every day, that you take a B vitamin every day, that you get a multivitamin in every day. Just be consistent, and as you learn more about your well-being, as you learn more about your health, and you can share more and educate others about your results, you're going to see your health grow and your business grow. Thank you, everyone, for spending tonight with me.